There's a spider that doesn't rely on speed, it doesn't chase, it doesn't rush, and it doesn't attack blindly. Instead, it waits, not just for movement, but for the right reaction, because this spider doesn't just hunt, it experiments, it tests, and then it decides how to strike. This is the Portia spider. At first glance, it doesn't look like anything unusual, small, lightweight, almost fragile, but what it does is something most predators can't. It hunts other spiders, and not just smaller ones. Sometimes, it hunts spiders larger than itself. Which means it can't rely on force. It has to rely on something else. Strategy. Most spiders build webs and wait. Their prey comes to them. But Portia does something different. It enters other spiders' webs, which is dangerous, because a web isn't just a trap, it's also a detection system. Every vibration, every movement, is noticed. The spider that owns the web can feel everything. So if something enters, it reacts, usually fast, and usually with precision. Which means if Portia makes the wrong move, it becomes the prey. But it doesn't rush in. It pauses. It observes, and then it does something unexpected. It plucks the web, gently, creating a vibration, but not random, controlled, because different vibrations mean different things. A trapped insect creates one pattern, a struggling movement creates another, wind creates something else entirely, and the web owner knows the difference, so Portia tests it, it sends a signal, and waits for the response. If the reaction isn't right, it changes the signal, tries again, adjusts, until it finds the exact vibration that triggers the right behavior. And this is what makes it unusual. It doesn't use a fixed method. It adapts. If one pattern doesn't work, it switches, and keeps switching until something does. Which means it's not just reacting, it's learning, in real time, inside another predator's territory. Once it finds the right signal, the web owner responds. It moves toward the vibration, expecting prey, expecting food, but instead, it's moving closer to danger, and Portia waits, perfectly still, until the moment is right. Then it strikes, fast, precise, and usually successful. But the strategy doesn't stop there, because Portia doesn't always rely on webs. Sometimes, it hunts in open space, and even then, it doesn't move directly. It takes indirect paths, it avoids detection, it approaches from angles that reduce risk, and if something changes, it pauses again, reevaluates, adjusts its path, which is something you don't usually expect from an animal this small. Because most small predators rely on instinct, predefined behavior, fixed responses, but this one behaves differently. It actually seems to process information, to make decisions, to choose between options, and that creates something pretty rare, a predator that doesn't just react, but actually plans, in simple terms, but still, planning, which honestly raises an interesting question. How much intelligence is actually required to do something like this? Because, well, the behavior suggests more than just instinct, it suggests flexibility, and flexibility is what really allows it to succeed, because every web is different, every spider reacts differently, and the same strategy just won't always work. So instead of relying on one method, Portia creates one, on the spot, based on what works and what doesn't, which is why its hunting success is so high, not because it's stronger, but because it adapts faster, and in an environment where mistakes matter, that difference is everything. But there's another layer to this, because Portia sometimes hunts prey that can actually see it, other jumping spiders, which means vibration tricks won't work, so it changes strategy again, it slows down, moves in segments, freezes between movements, almost like it's trying to disappear, not by blending in, but by controlling motion, because sudden movement is what triggers detection, so it removes that signal, piece by piece, until it's close enough, and then, once again, it strikes. This ability to switch strategies, based on the situation, is what really sets it apart, because most predators don't have options, they have one method, one way of hunting, and if that fails, they fail. But Portia doesn't rely on just one method, it builds one, and that's what makes it so effective. Not speed, not strength, but decision-making, at a level you just wouldn't expect from something this small. And when you step back, it changes how you look at it, because it's not just a spider, it's a system, observing, testing, adjusting, and then acting, all in an environment where one mistake can reverse the roles instantly, which means every move matters, and every signal has to be correct. Because in this kind of hunt, it's not about overpowering the prey, it's about convincing it to make the wrong move, and that's what makes this spider different. It doesn't force the outcome, it creates it. One small decision at a time,